All right, guys, welcome back. Hopefully, you don't hear any background noise. My son is in the other room playing a game, and they're loud as usual. But anyway, that is the life that I live. So, I'm going to, this week, we're going to create a poster. So, I'm going to go ahead and set this up in Photoshop. All right, so I'm in Photoshop, and you guys already know this part, but we'll go through it anyway. I'm just going to create new. So this poster, we want it to be for print because I don't want you guys to just know how to do stuff for the web. I also want you to know how to do print. So we did two that were pretty much for the web, which was the mobile design and the Facebook wall photo. It was for the web and mobile. So for this one, we want to do a print one. So up here, this is where our intents are. So we're going to select the intent of print. See that? So this area is your intent, which means your intentions. Okay, so we choose print. This one, our poster says, I have it up over here just to make sure. I think it's 11 by 17. Let me just make sure. Yes, and it is. Okay, so it says 11 by 17. So I'm going to hit print. I'm going to go down over here to the width, and I'm going to choose 11. Height, I'm going to choose 17. Typically, I'll name it here just so that I know. So I'm just going to say Photoshop poster demo. Oops. All right. Okay, so I have my Photoshop poster. I have it 11 by 17. I have the resolution at 300, which is the print resolution. So we want to make sure the resolution is at 300. RGB color. Typically, if I'm doing this for print, I'll set it as CMYK. But a lot of times I'll ask the printer, hey, how should I set this up? Because some printers print different. So, but for us, for class, we're going to do CMYK for our color mode since we're doing print. And then everything else is pretty much cool. So everything else is fine. I'm going to hit create. All right. So now we have our setup for our poster. What I'm also going to do, you might not have to do it, but if you notice my workspace is a little different, I'm going to go up to workspace. I'm going to go to window, workspace, and then I'm just going to hit reset essentials. Now all of my stuff will come back, same as yours, which is to learn. And again, I do encourage you guys to look at this learn panel for learning how to do cool stuff in Photoshop. I really love this panel. I still use it today. You know what I mean? So, and even being very fluent with Photoshop, I still every single time find something cool and new. So definitely check out the Learn panel. But I don't need that, and I need more workspace. So I'm gonna close Learn. And I showed you last week a way to drag and drop it, but this time I'm just gonna go into this little menu over here to the right, and I'm just gonna hit Close Group. And then libraries, I'm gonna keep opening because I will be referring to that for mine. And I already showed you guys how to download photos and all that fun stuff, so you already know how to do yours. I'm going to grab all of my photos probably from Adobe Stock, so that's where I'll be grabbing mine. So I'm going to go up here to libraries to Adobe Stock. If you don't have Adobe Stock, that's fine. Just go ahead and bring your photos in the same way you did last week, where you just embedded the photos in. But for me, I'm going to choose a library that I've used before. For demos and stuff like that. So, and typically I don't really have, I like to work off the cusp, meaning I like to work pretty much without something planned, you know what I mean? Like, and just typically, as a matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to search for photos if I don't find the library that I'm looking for. I have a lot of libraries. I really need to go in here and clean this up. So make sure you are cleaning yours up. I'm just gonna go ahead and search for a library through Adobe Stock. So let me go here. Let me just I think I see it, but that's okay. Yep, I do see it. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and search Adobe Stock. So I'm clicking up here. I'm going to click on Adobe Stock. Oh, I have one called Bubbles. That might be the one. Let me see. Yes, that is the one. Okay, so I'm just going to use this one because I already have one kind of set. And I already chose like I said, and you guys saw a little bit last week, me choosing photos, it can take forever because I really, really love photos. But I have kind of something cool in here. Now, your poster is supposed to be for a call to action. For this one, I'm not going to do a call to action for me because I want you guys to come up with your own ideas and things like that. But I am going to create a photo set from here. So I kind of like this one. So I might grab that photo. And remember, anytime you bring it in, you have to accept it. You guys already know that. I know. I'm just going through the motions. All right. So let me go ahead and grab some cool ones that I think this color will be nice with that. Maybe mix in a little bit of this one. Okay. And remember, we're going to be doing things like the blend modes and stuff like that. And to do blend modes and things like that, you have to have more than one photo, right? Because you're blending, right? And to blend, you have to blend more than one. Oh, I really like this one. I might actually use this one instead of that one. We'll see. Right now, I'm just going through and grabbing some photos. I like that one. I like this effect. And who knows? I probably won't use all of these, but definitely going to use some. I like that one. And this is my typical workflow. I do grab photos. I grab a whole bunch and I photo them out. And then I try to see which ones I want to use, which ones are going to work in whatever design I'm trying to create. This seems like it'll be neat as well. And maybe... So my computer, a lot of times, I have a new computer now, but a lot of times it'll lock up on me. And these are the reasons, because I pull out a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm not telling, oh my gosh, a little girl. I'm not telling you to do the same, but and I love kids. I do. And I have four of my own. Let me see. Maybe this one. And I should really stop. But okay, I'm gonna stop. I really want the other one, but I'm gonna stop. I don't know. This one might be really good because it's got the grass. I might actually use this one instead of this one. Let me look at this one. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so I just grab a whole bunch of photos, and you can see my layers panel is getting crazy, right? So I'm going to, whatever I'm not gonna use, I might actually use these today. Okay. Typically, I like to have my layers panel where I can see every single layer, and you guys see that I have a whole bunch, but that's okay. I'm probably not going to be able to do that now. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide a lot of the layers. So, the eyeball is to hide, right? Hide and show. But if I want to grab a whole bunch, hide a whole bunch at once, if I hold the mouse down and just scroll down, I can hide as many layers as I want, even until I get all the way down to the bottom. So that's just the shortcut key. All right, so I might start off with this photo, but now that I saw all the other photos, I don't know if I like this one as much. But anyway, I'm gonna start off with this photo. I'm gonna hit, I'll start off with this photo and have her at the top. And then let me look at like some of the other photos that I have. The little boy blowing bubbles. Since he's blowing bubbles upward, might have him right there. And then, so I'm really just putting some type of compilation together. So I might have somewhere in the photo this little girl. And then, I saw the other one. I think it was a little boy. He was so cute. Might not be able to use him though, because he might not work well with. Nope, that's not him. Where'd he go? Another thing I can do, these thumbnails are pretty small. If I wanted to make the thumbnails larger, which I'm not, I do have options inside my layers panel where I can make the thumbnail a little bigger. If I go into that little menu and I choose panel options, then I have two monitors, so let me bring this over. Then I have the option right now. My thumbnails are at the smallest. I have an option of making them middle size or making them large size. I'm okay with them small size. I just want to show you that you guys have those options. But I'm going to hit cancel because I don't need that. But all right. So what I want to do, and like I said, there's so much stuff in Photoshop, we're not even going to touch half of the stuff that we can touch in here. But for the time being, all right. So what I'm going to do with these is first I want to form how I want these to flow. Maybe I want the little girl to enter the photo here and the little boy here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we talked about masking and things like that. This week we're going to mask with a gradient. So I'm going to, let me see. Let me actually put these 3 photos near each other just so that it'll make it easier. There we go. And then I'm going to try to put them in the order that they're in right now. So he's all the way at the bottom. So I'm going to move him down. She's in the middle. And she's on top. The little girl's on top. Okay, the lady's on top. Okay, so now I can see where they are, where their order is, and how I want to do these. I'm probably going to move these a little bit. I'm probably going to group them because we are going to talk about grouping this week. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the young lady, and what I want to do is I want to add a mask because what I want to happen is I want the little girl's face to show up at the bottom half of this image. So I'm kind of combining them. So what I'm going to do is click on make sure that the young lady is selected. I'm going to click on my layer mask, right? And remember, nothing happens, and that's fine. I'm going to go over here in my tools panel and see where it says the gradient tool. I'm going to click on that. Now I have this gradient tool selected. I'm going to go up to the top, and it's going to default to what I want it to default to, but I do want to show you guys that you have options as well. So I have it on the default, which if I go into basics, this is the default right here, which is pretty much just foreground to background, right? You also have a foreground to transparent, and that just means that it goes from showing to transparency. And then I have the reverse, which is going from black to white. Okay, but I'm going to keep it where it is. But I just want you to see, guys. You have all these other ones. You have blues. You have, let me bring this down some a little bit. Ugh, not what I meant to do. All right, you have blues. I'm on this trackpad again. I'm going to continue. I'm determined that me and this trackpad are going to get along. All right, so I have purples. You have pinks, which is one of my favorite colors. Reds, one of my other favorite colors. Orange, I love orange too. Greens, I love colors. Let's just get out of the way. All right, so you have other colors that you can use as well, and that's right up here. And if you want to choose a different color, you can. You also have different ways of having your gradient. Right now we're at linear, but you have radial, you have angle, you have reflected, and you have diamond. And I just tell you to just play. Okay, if you want to know what each one does, just play and you'll know. But for now, what I'm going to do is something crazy. Okay, so I'm going to so wherever you have your mouse controls this gradient, you are controlling what happens with the gradient. So if I have it like kind of at the top of her shirt, and I hold the mouse and I angle down, you can also hold shift to constrain it. Notice it is getting rid of that part of the image that I told it to. Notice I said I had it at the top of the shirt. So the gradient kind of starts here and it's going down. I'll do that again just to make sure, because I know that this is a very wow and interesting concept, okay? So I'm at the top of her shirt, right? I made sure, though, another thing that I made sure of is that the mask is selected. If you look at the 4 corners, you will see that mask is selected. So that is very uberly important, is to make sure that mask is selected. So with the mask selected, I'm going to go at the top of her shirt. I'm holding shift just so that I can constrain it. I'm holding the mouse down and I'm angling down. And wherever I stop this is where, I'm controlling that gradient, right? So wherever I stop it is where I'm saying up gradient stop. So if I know that I want it to go all the way down, like let's say I just want to make sure that the top of her, the little girl is shown. I can let go, and now I get a different result. Okay, so just make sure you are clear on on that. And look at that, boom, a beautiful photo, right? So now if I know that I want the little girl, or like I have her little shoes, well, what if I wanted the little boy right here? What if I wanted the top to show, right? What if I wanted like her shoes, but I wanted like some of these bubbles over here to show in? So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to select the next layer, okay? Because I've done everything I want to do on this layer. I'm happy with that, right? It's kind of like mystical, and I have like the lady's hand, and her elbow is kind of blending in with the background of the next layer. So what I want to do now, I'm going to click on the adorable little girl in the meadow, and I'm going to add a layer mask. Now, another thing to know about layer mask is it's going to affect the layer below it, okay? So anything you do, you're affecting the layer below, okay? Just keep that in mind, because this gets kind of confusing for people. So I want to make sure you're keeping that in mind, okay? You're affecting the layer below it. It's an interaction with the layer that you're on and the layer below, okay? So I have this one selected. I make sure that the layer mask is selected. It still has my same settings from last time, which was the linear gradient that was going from foreground to background. So what I'm going to do now is just pick a spot and click, and you'll see now it's showing some of that layer below. I'm going to undo that because what I want to show is kind of these bubbles. Now, I don't know exactly where the bubbles are below. So one thing that I can do, if I want to make sure that I'm precise with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the little girl layer. Okay, I just hit it for a second. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rely on rulers and guides. So I'm going to go up here. A few ways I can do this. I can go to view. I can go to show, and then I can go to ruler. Let me see where that is. View, show. I'm sorry, nope, it changed. I can go to view, and I can go to rulers, and I can bring my rulers up. Now, typically I'm a shortcut girl, so I usually don't go to the menu, but I want to make sure you guys know both ways to do it. So I go to the rulers, and then I can go and notice my rulers right now, they're set at, I think it's set at pixels. Let me see. But if I wanted to know, all I have to do is go into the ruler and click. Oops. Two finger click for me. But click, right click, and it'll show me what it's set at. So right now it's set at pixels, and that's fine. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out a guide. So I have my ruler. Remember, I just went to view, rulers. I have the ruler. I'm going to bring a ruler out, and I'm going to bring it at the top of the bubble. So what this is telling me is this where my bubbles are, right? So that I have some type of knowledge of where my bubbles are. And I'm going to do the same thing. So all I did, though, let me undo, just make sure. All I did was click inside of the ruler, right? Inside of the numbers themselves. Click, and then I'm dragging. So I haven't let go of the mouse. I'm just dragging it down to the top of the bubble. I'm going to make another ruler because I want to know where the bubble ends, like it's over here, right? So I'm going to do another ruler, and I'm going to bring that one out from the left over here, okay? So I have these guys. Guys are amazing, guys. They're just amazing. All right, so I have the top and I have the left, so I know exactly where the bubbles are, right? The area that I'm looking for. And I can even, if I wanted to, I could draw out another one. I don't need that one, but I could. And I'm just showing you that you can. I can also draw out another one so I can see, oh, this little square area, right? So there it is. So this is the area that I want to make sure is seen, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show back on the little girl layer, and I have this layer selected. It's still selected. I'm still in the gradient. So now what I can do is I can say, okay, I want this gradient to run from here kind of to here because I want to show the bubbles, and I have the bubble showing. Now this one is a little bit too much, right? Because I don't want this little white area over here. So I'm going to undo that, and I just want to now better control. So maybe I'll go here, right? Or maybe and I just play with these. Maybe I want it out just a little bit more, or maybe I just want, it to show right here. okay, which is more the effect that I'm looking for. So I might go from here and from the top bubble to maybe here, and then show just a little bit, because I just want a little bit of the area below. But as you notice, I'm going to undo real quick. If you notice, I'm going to do this again. When I did that, see how it's showing that hard edge? I don't want the hard edge, so I need to make sure that I don't have the hard edge. So what this tells me is I need another guide. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to hide the little girl, and I want to see where this edge is. So I'm going to go back, right? So all I did was hid the little girl again, and I clicked into the ruler again, and I'm going to put this guide right on top of here. So now I know this is the edge of my photo. I know that this is the area that I want. So I know what area I have to work in. So I'm going to bring her back. And now I'm going to make sure that when I click, I'm not up here, so I can make sure that we're not showing that area if possible. Oops, clicking for the wrong way. Okay. So don't be too sharp. Okay. So here is what I want to be seen. And let me see. Okay. And maybe I don't want it at the angle, because at the angle I wasn't getting the result that I want. And it's all about play. It really is. I'm going to go here. And this is kind of the look that I'm looking for right here. Just to where the bubbles are showing, the grass is still showing. I still have her as an important piece to this. But just to show you, so I'm going in the right direction, right? So this is the areas that I was going in, and I'm just playing right now. But these areas that I was going in, so that we can get some of the bubbles and stuff like that. But if this happens to you, hang on, and you're doing it and you do it in the wrong direction, and that happens, don't panic. That just means you went in the wrong direction, right? Because you saw that I'm now going from the bottom upward, and now stuff is disappearing, right? It's disappearing in the opposite direction. So I don't want that. So just so you know, it's okay. It happens. It always happens. So so this is kind of the area that I want, kind of the effect that I want. And as far over as I go, it does change the effect as well. So if I go further over here, notice I'm seeing more of her. Then if we go over here. So definitely play. I love playing in here. And the shorter you go, the sharper your transition is going to be. So see how I'm going a little short, but I gave it a little more room. But this is the effect that I want. I'm happy. I got a little bit of her shoe, and I have some of that grass and stuff coming into the photo. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And now I have these guides, and they're all over the place, and they're driving me crazy. So what I can do is I can go to View, and there's also a shortcut key as well. And I can either clear the guides if I know that I'm happy with them, I don't need them anymore, or I can hide the guide. So if I want to clear the guides, I would click this. Or if I want to hide the guides, I would go up to Show, and then I can go up to Guides and click this, and that will hide the guides. Okay. I don't know if I want to keep the guides or not, so I'll just hide them for now. And there you have it. Okay. So the guides are hidden. We have our gradient. We have our mask. We are cool, right? So we're set as far as that goes. I want to make sure that I go over. We only missed a few things last week. I actually went over more than I was supposed to, which is kind of cool, but it gave you a long video. I'm so sorry. So the next thing that we want to do, and make sure that, let's see, it's just exporting. Make sure. Yep, because everything else is Illustrator. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I show you how to export the file and do some text. Yep, that's it. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, though, we're going to complete this poster, is I'm going to bring in some of, like, this is kind of cool. So let's say I want to do some type of effect with this one, but I want to make sure I get one of these really, really cool colors in here. Now I can't see that, right? So I have this down here and I can't see it. Wonder why? I know you know. I know you remember, right? So I need to make sure that it's on top, right? So I kind of like this bright, colorful color, and I want to incorporate this into the entire design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform this. I'm going to hit Command T, okay? Command T, or I can go up to Edit and Transform. Either one is going to work for us. I'm going to bring this out, and I'm going to, you know what I might do? Since this is going in a direction, I think I'm going to turn this around, right? So all I did was grab a corner, and I'm going to bring it here, and I'll bring it out just a little bit. Not holding shift. All right. So I'm going to hit it now. So it has it's totally covering our photo. But remember, we know what we're going to do. We're going to play with blend modes, right? So I'm going to play with some of these blend modes with this. So I'm going to go up here to the normal, and I'm going to see what each blend mode does. Now, of course, I did nothing. Darken kind of gives like a really, really cool effect. I'm kind of digging that just a little bit. Multiply, that's nice, a little darker. I like that. Color burn, that's kind of cool, right? Burning in the color and stuff. I like that. Linear burn, that's kind of cool. Darker color, that gets rid of the girl a little bit too much for me, but it's definitely a cool effect. Lighten, that's pretty cool. Screen. Screen used to be one of my favorite blend modes too. It still is. All of them are my favorites, which is crazy. This kind of gives like a mystical, kind of dreamy sort of effect. Mine is like the haze that you usually have, but I kind of like it. Color dodge, that's interesting. Linear, that's interesting. Light color, that's interesting. Overlay, I love always, but I don't like what it's doing to the little girl, but I can also lessen that intensity if I wanted to as well. Soft light, I like soft light. Hard light, a little too harsh for me. Vivid, linear, but as you guys can see, we're going through. Difference is kind of scary and creepy, and I'm not trying to go there. Hue, that's kind of different, where it's taking the colors, you see that, and blending those and doing like a really, really cool effect with that. Saturation, I'm digging that so much. Color, ooh, I like that too. Luminosity, too much. Luminosity is one of my favorites too. So I really like color and how it's doing. Let me go back through saturation. But see how difficult this can be. Oh my gosh, I just don't know. I like this one and how it's doing, and I like saturation. I don't know which one I like more, guys. See, this is where I wish we were live, because you guys would vote, and I'd be like, okay, we're going to do that. But I think I'm going to go with this one. So those of you who felt this one, yay, we're in the same boat. Okay. So I'm just going to go with saturation, which is like bringing those colors out, popping them vividly, and it's so intense, and that's just making me happy right now. Okay, so let me see if I want to do anything else. I might do that white. Oh, there was the other little girl. Well, I might do this white bubbles and do something with that. We'll see. Let me see. Oh, so now at this point, I think I'm going to take all of these and move them down. And the reason is because I can't, it needs to be on top of, come on, right there. Okay. Everything else, every other color, every other effect or that I want to do on it, it needs to be beneath this. And I'd really like this. I kind of want to see what this does. So I'm going to, that's okay. I'm going to select this one, Control T, hover over to one of the corners, hold Shift, bring to constrain it, bring this over. You know what? I did that on that side, so I'm actually going to flip this to the other side. Now, there's such a easier way to do this, but that's okay. And I'm going to not hold Shift and bring this over. Okay, so I'm going to hit Enter. And now I'm going to play with the blend mode and see what I like. There's darken. That's kind of interesting. Screen's kind of interesting now. Ooh, there's overlay. That's interesting. There is soft light. Ooh, I kind of like soft light. And it's kind of taking away the intensity of the saturation a little bit, but the colors are still vivid and pop. And here we go into the scary stuff. Let's see this hue. Look at hue. Now that's cool, right? It's taking it this saturation, and now this is taking down that intensity of the saturation, luminosity, and I think I'm gonna go with saturation. So now if I this is what it looked like, and this is what it's adding. So it's kind of taking away the bubble effect though. That's okay. We can fix that. All right, let's see if I want any more. And sometimes though, sometimes you're just to a point to where you're like, you know what? That's enough. But what I'm gonna do is it's because I'm a rebel. All right, I'm gonna oh, okay. I'm gonna transform this one, bring this up some, maybe bring this over. So maybe with this one, I'm gonna have the effect to where it only affects that layer. Where's the lady? Well, I will in a second. Let's go through blend mode, see what blend mode's gonna work with this. Kind of like that. Look at that. It looks like she's popping that bubble. Huh. Darken. The color. Overlay. Too interesting. I'm gonna go with saturation. It's my favorite. Okay. So now I kind of like the effect that this one is giving, right? And I only have it on her layer, right? Because it's so that's kind of cool. I'm kind of liking that effect. Maybe I'll find an effect to work on each one. Ooh, wouldn't that be cool? Like maybe this one works on, let's see. All right, let me bring this down a little bit. I want it to only be on this one. All right, and let's work with effects and see what we got. What happens? That's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. Huh. I kind of like that a little bit too. I don't like any of these for it. Let me go back up to where I was excited. But so notice I'm just playing, right? I don't know exactly what I'm gonna choose. I don't know exactly what's gonna work with it, what I'm gonna like. I kind of like that effect. Let me see. I kind of like that effect, right? So maybe that's the one that I go for this one. But some of the stuff that I'm losing when I do that is that mask that I had right earlier. So what I might do is I might go with the layer mask, and I might go with the gradient, and I might, work this out to where, to where I'm seeing a little bit of it, and I'm still getting that middle photo, and that gradient that I had. Okay. And then I might find one for a little Missy. Let me see. That might work. She might get the fizzies. Cute. That might work. That's interesting. But I think that's going to be too. This one's interesting too. It just adds bubbles too, though. What's already there. So I don't want. She might get this one. Yeah, she might get this one. Okay, so I'm going to transform this. I'm going to Bring this one in. And I might bring this one down just a little bit, but we'll see. I'm gonna hit return, and I'm going to play with the blend modes on this. See what we get. See what works well. That's kind of cool. Let me see. That one was intense. I like that. It's cool too. Gives it like a totally different effect. I think I'm gonna go with multiply with this one. And again, I'm gonna go and add a mask. And then with the mask, I might bring it down a little bit so that it's not so intense. I can go either way with this mask. I can start it right here, or I can stop it from going up here. And then, I have options. So I might go here, here. There we go. And again, I tell you guys to play. My goal is to get rid of it from here. And go here. There we go. So it's not so intense, but it gives. So let's just say, so I have all of these and I'm ready for the next step. What I may want to do, I'm going to bring this down, all the way down, so that I can have all these together. And I know I'm not going to use the rest, so I'm going to go ahead and delete those. Maybe. I'm a little scared to delete them because I think I might need, let me see. Won't need that one. Oops. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to need them or not. So I'm going to wait. But what I do know is I have all of these that I'm going to use. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to group them, right? So I'm going to select them all. Okay, so I have everything selected that I should have everything selected that were used. There we go. And right here in this panel that we haven't talked about is a folder. And what this folder does is it groups it. So it's going to take all of these and it's going to put it in its own folder. So when I click on the folder, let's see, did it group them? It did not. What's wrong? Let me click another tool. Now let's see. All right, let me go to the menu. You choose new group. And it's coming over here. It used to work where you could just click the folder, and it still works that way. I'm not sure why it's not working today, but I'm just gonna put poster images. Okay, so I put poster images. I'm gonna hit OK, and now so there's a folder that was made for poster images. So now what I can do is I can grab. Let's see. Yeah, I can grab poster images, put it to the top, and now I can take all, oops, let me not do that. I can grab poster images, and now I want to grab all of these and put them in here. I think it's not doing it because I had background, and you can't, as a matter of fact, let me check just to make sure, because I want to know. I need to know, guys. I don't know. All right, so I'm going to select this, and background is a locked background. So with it being locked, I'm sorry, I'm having coughing. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't do it. Hang on 1 second, I have to drink. It's the end of the day, so my voice is getting, and I have a fan blowing at me, sorry. All right, so I'm going to name this one. And to name it, all you do, click on the word group 1. Let me turn the fan off, sorry. All right, so all you do is double click on the word group 1. And I'm going to say poster images. All right. And so now I have all of the poster images, inside of a group. So this is grouping, definitely something that you want to do. What you don't want to do is flatten your images or merge your images. Merge your layers. Do not do it. Do not flatten layers. Do not, because if you do and you turn something in, I have nothing to grade. Okay. So make sure, do not flatten, do not merge. but you can make groups because the group is not going to take away any of the effects that you use. If you click on the group, you'll see it's not all, everything that you use is still there. All right. So what we're going to do next is, so we did adjustment layers last week, so we really don't have to do that. But if you guys need a refresher, just let me know. And what we're going to do this week is we're going to do type, right? So let's go ahead and click on the type tool. So right here is the type tool. You guys see that? All right. And we have options. We have horizontal, vertical, or horizontal. We're going to choose horizontal. And we're just going to click. So that's all you really have to do. I'm going to say bubbles, Bubble Fest. Bubble Fest. Okay. So, and now I have Bubble Fest. I'm going to select it. And up here at the top, you will see the options that we have to change our font. So right now I have the name Myriad Pro, regular. I'm going to change the size just so we can see it. I'm going to go up to 72. I didn't mean to make it italic. I'm going to go up to 72 and I'm going to choose a different font. So what we can do is if you click on the little arrow next to Myriad Pro, whatever your default is, you have options in here. Now your options may be different than my options, but I'm going to choose, say, this one, Afran, right? All right, so let's say I choose that one for Bubble Fest. Let's say I'm like, oh, I'm happy with that. That's cool. That's going to be it. But let's say you're not. Let's say you're looking in your panel and you're like, these are all horrible. I hate all of these. So what you can do is right here where it says more from Adobe Fonts. So when you click on the character panel and it says more from Adobe Fonts, you can click that. And what's going to happen is Adobe Fonts is going to open up and it's going to take you. Now yours might have a different screen at first. Just go ahead and accept it or whatever. But it's going to take you to Adobe Fonts screen. So we know that our text was, what was it, Bubble Fest. So right here where it says sample text, you can type bubble, whatever your title is. For me, it's Bubble Fest, right? And I can see some of the options that it has by default. But if I know that I kind of want fun and I kind of want, a certain font, I have options over here. So if I know that I want a sans serif or that I want a serif, I know that I don't want a serif font because I'm not looking for the legs or the feet. I want a sans serif font, right? So I'm going to choose sans serif, right? So I make sure. And I know that I kind of want decorative. It's a little bit because it's bubble, right? Like, look at that. Look at that. Gee, what? That's probably the one I want to use. And then if I know I want a certain width or if I know I want a certain weight, and if you're a font nerd like me, you're probably going to play in these eventually. But for now, I kind of like this, and it is giving me the options that I want. I'm kind of really feeling this chi right here. But you'll want to make sure, though, that whatever font you use matches. So if it's a call to action and it's fun, and also call to action can be fun. It doesn't have to be serious. It can be serious, but you'll want to make sure that your font matches whatever the theme is that you're going for. So if yours is, Red Heart, not Red Heart, what is it? I don't know. I forget the organization, but if yours is for Purple Heart or something like that, I don't know what I just did. What happened? But anyway, if yours is for Purple Heart or something like that, then you're not going to want to use chi, right? That's not going to work. You know what I mean? Unless your whole marketing campaign is something totally different and you're using humor to make it come across, then yeah, it'll work. But if not, don't do it. All right. But I'm going to stay on this page because, like I said, I can look at fonts forever and I don't want to go down that rabbit trail. So what I'm going to do is Bubble Chi. I like it. I'm going to click on View Family just so that I can see how many fonts are in this family. And I'm looking and it has quite a few. So that's cool. What I want to do is if I know that I want this font and this is the one that I want to use, I can choose up here where it says Activate Fonts. Click there. And I can turn on, I can either activate all or it used to have a button for Activate All. I'm not quite sure why it's not showing. But Activate Fonts, I can say, okay, I want to activate it. And then it's going to come up and say, hey, you've licensed this, yay. And I'm going to say, yep, I'm going to license them all, buddy. click on that. And then over on the other side, which you guys can't see, but you'll see it if you have one monitor, it's going to tell you, hey, a new font has been added from Adobe Fonts. Yay, so gives you a little celebration. This is the thing with having two monitors. Hit OK. All right, so now all these fonts are activated, and it's called Chi, right? So when I go over to my Photoshop and I click on this font, and I go up here where it says Myriad Pro, and I go to look for the font that I want to use. If I type Chi, notice, look at that. There is Chi. It is right there for me. And I can I can hover over to get ideas of what each one is going to look like. Look at that. Chi Boogie. I think I'm going with Chi Boogie. Okay. And then voila, right? But let's suppose you're looking at this and you're like, 72 is just not big enough. I kind of want this to be a lot larger. You can just go ahead and type in whatever size you want. So if you know that you want your font to be like 120, you can do that, and then it's gonna show you, and then Bubble Fest is gonna come. Now, what I want to do with this, go back to my type tool, and I'm actually gonna make this 2 lines, because I actually want, and also another thing is too, with it highlighted, I can highlight, I can make sure that that's highlighted, and I can just hit the up arrow to get like however big I want this font, this style to be. So if I know that I want bubble to be humongous, then I can do that. And then also I have the tracking and kerning that I can do. And now we have it in our properties panel, right? We have it in our properties panel where we can control it over here. See where it says set the tracking. So I can go here in my properties panel, and I can increase the tracking if I want to here. I can also use a shortcut key. As long as I have it selected, I can hold Option or Alt. If you're on PC, it's usually Alt. If you're on Mac, it's Option, whichever one. And I can click on the right arrow, and I can also control this as well. So just so you know, just food for thought. Fast, I'm going to highlight, and I'm going to control it with clicking on the arrows. And also, okay, so what I just did was I clicked on the up arrow. So if you hold Option or Alt and you click left or right, you're controlling the tracking. But if you hold Option and you click up and down, you're controlling the leading, right? So tracking, we're talking about the space in between. Leading, we're talking about the space from lines, right? From the next line of text. Okay, so if I want Bubble Fest to look like that, I think I like that. All right, so I have Bubble Fest and Booyah, right? So let's say this is what I want. Another thing that I want to make sure of, I want to make sure that I'm looking at my clearance, right? That I'm looking at the distance of it from the edge of my paper to where my text starts, and the edge of my paper to the left and the right side, okay? So this looks good. I'm okay with the way that this is looking. I'm going to go down a little bit. And I'm not happy with this color. This is not a color that I want to use. However, I am pretty happy with the font in general. So what I want to do next is, this is why I kept those colors. Smart me. I mean, those other images. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to highlight this bubble foam pink. Okay. And what I want to do is, it's already big enough, so I should be good with it like that. Okay. But I'm going to move it down closer to Bubble Fest. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clip this image inside of the text of Bubble Fest. So like we did last week with adjustment layers, this time we're using with a photo, and we're clipping the photo into text. Okay. So I have Bubble Fest here, and now you don't have to do this. If you try this and you're like, oh, that is ugly, that's horrible, it doesn't match my image, don't do it. Do not sacrifice a technique for a style. Like, that's going to mess up the style of your photo. Don't do it. I'm doing it, and I'm doing a lot of techniques, And I might not do all these techniques at once usually, but I'm doing a demo, right? So I'm showing you guys how to do it. So I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option, right? So I'm just hovering over. Remember, I'm hovering right above, in between Bubble Fest and the image. Hover, right? I'm holding Alt or Option and I'm clicking. And now that image went inside of Bubble Fest. And I really like how this is looking. This is what I wanted. But if I wanted to adjust it, I still can. I can make sure that the image that I want to adjust is selected, make sure I have the move tool, and then I can move that photo inside of here, right? So if I was like, I kind of want to move it up some, or I'm just not happy with that, I have those options. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that as well. All right. But I like how it is. So I'm going to go ahead and be happy with that. Another thing that I want to add is I want to add a stroke to this. But what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to get the eyedropper tool. So another tool alert, ding, 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 eyedropper tool. Because what I want to select this pink, right? So that I have that color. So I clicked on the eyedropper tool, right? Click on the eyedropper tool. I'm going to sample that pink. Notice if I hover and hold it, it's showing you the pink ring. You guys see that, right? So I have the pink ring, so I have it sampled. So what I'm gonna do, just to make sure I have this color, I'm gonna go to the Swatches panel. Now we haven't touched this, so this is a new ding, 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 new alert. All right, so the Swatches panel, click on Swatches, and I'm gonna create a new swatch, okay? And mine is on the other screen, okay? So I'm gonna create a new swatch. I'm gonna name it Pink Bubbles, right? Pink Bubbles. And with the pink bubbles, I have the pink bubble swatch because when I make my stroke, I'm going to make it that color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the move tool. I'm going to go back to this pink bubble foam. I'm going to go down to the FX. We've done this last week. I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to choose stroke. All right. So my stroke panel is going to open up as it has. I'm going to choose color. And then I'm going to go to my swatches. Libraries, and don't see my swatches. I'm going to cancel real quick. And let me go to. All right. So, matter of fact, I didn't even have to do that. I forgot. Photoshop is amazing and it has updated. All right. So, what I'm going to do is click on this color. And then I'll get the color picker and I can go and I can click on that pink right from here. And I can hit OK. And then it's going to show up. So I'm going to increase this just to be a little ridiculous. I'm going to say that I want the stroke to be on the outside. Okay, so I'm going to choose outside. And everything else I'm happy with. I'm going to see what this looks like. And voila. Now, I did put a stroke on something, but I put a stroke on the photo, right? So if you look, you didn't see any effect happen. And the reason the effect didn't happen is because I'm on the wrong layer, okay? So you want to make sure that you're on the proper layer. So what we're going to do, though, even though we did that, there is a quick way to fix this. And I want you guys to know that. So we have this. So you see the FX? You guys see that? What we can do is grab that, drag it down to our Bubble Fest layer, and now it goes onto that one, okay? So if that was too quick, let me recap that real quick. We put the stroke on the wrong layer. So with the stroke on the wrong layer, that doesn't mean that we have to go back through this whole process again. What we can do is click on where the layer where you have whatever effect that you want to use, and you can click and drag it and drop it right on top of the layer that you intend for it to be on, okay? So don't panic, right? Don't panic. There's so many options available for you. So I'm going to click on effects real quick. If I want to edit it, I can double click on the word stroke. And let's say I want to add, just a little bit to the stroke itself. I can add it to the stroke itself. I'm going to, let me see. Maybe I want to bring it out to 15. And if I can't get it to the exact number that I want, remember I can always type it in and you just tab, to get to the next one. So I just want you guys to know you have options, okay? And I might want a darker pink. So even though I chose this color, I'm going to double click and I'm going to just give it a little bit more darkness. Let's see. I like this. Okay. All right. So I'm happy with that. I'm gonna hit OK. And so now I have my Bubble Fest. All right. So I'm gonna hit OK. All right. So another thing that I like to do, one of the things that I really love is I love the exclamation point. You guys will see that's like one of my favorite. Exclamation point and the ampersand and the hashtag are just my favorites. All right. So I'm going to click and I'm going to add an exclamation mark, right? And you guys see it's tiny as heck. We can't see it, right? What in the world? So also, you also see that it's clipped, right? Inside of that layer. You guys see that? So what I'm going to do is double click so that I can double click on the T for the type tool. And I'm going to bring that size up a whole bunch. And then, okay. And then I'm going to change its color to, and I'm going to look at it because I don't know why. All right, I'm going to take it outside of the clip and see what's happening. And it's still clipped. Okay, so I took it outside of the clip because I didn't know what was actually going on. So I'm going to show you a different way in just a second. So I'm going to make this maybe 200 points. And so I'm doing it and I'm seeing I really don't like this exclamation point for this one. So I don't like that one. So I get rid of that. So I shouldn't have gotten rid of it. Let me actually delete that. Let me just switch fonts. I don't like that one at all. Let me see if one of its other ones. Oh, there we go. Yeah. I like that better. Okay, sweet. All right. So now I'm going to go back to the pink color. Well, actually, it doesn't matter what color I have it because I'm going to do the same effect. All right. So I'm going to hit Control T, right? So this is another way that we can increase the size if we want. If we don't know exactly, make sure I'm not holding Shift. You guys know the Shift is my favorite. All right. So I'm going to sort of, let's see, bring this down some. And I'm going to be happy with that. Okay, so I have this exclamation point. I can look at what it looks like, which is what I was intending to do here. But it's not working. So I'm going to go back to the way that it was. Not quite sure why it's not working that way, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip this same photo into the exclamation point. So I'm going to hold Alt or Option. And what that's doing is duplicating this photo. And I'm going to move this up above my letter T. And now what I'm going to do is hold Alt or Option and clip it in there. Okay. So as I noticed, this is a little bit too small. And remember, I can still manipulate this while it's inside of here. And I want some of that. Pink inside of both. So I'm gonna hit Command T, right? So that I can manipulate this a little bit. I'll make sure I don't hold Shift. Me and the Shift, it's gonna take some time, guys, for me to get used to. All right, and then I'm going to bring this down like this. Hit Enter. Okay, I like that. I want the effect. And remember, we did the effects before. So I'm going to hold Alt this time because now I want to copy the effect. So instead of moving the effect, I'm going to copy it. So I'm holding Alt and I'm going to grab the effect and I'm going to put it right on the T. And notice I get the same stroke. And with this stroke, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to double click on stroke and I'm going to bring it out just a little bit bigger, just a little bit for this one. I'm going to hit OK. And I have my Bubble Fest, right? So then I'm okay with that. Now there are a few other things that I will probably do with this as well, like with playing with effects. If I go back into there, like double click on the effects, I can add things to this effect as well. So like I can add an outer glow. So let's say I go to outer glow, and let's say I grab that pink. I'm gonna hit on the color. I'm gonna grab that pink again. I'm gonna hit OK. And let's say for this, I want to play with the spread. I can do that. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, it's on the right one. Okay, I just want to make sure. I can play with the size of the glow itself. Maybe bring it out just a little bit. Just give it just a little halo around here. Maybe spread it just a little bit more. You can play with the contours too. You can get some neat things with that. So I just clicked on this little angle here and see how it's giving some neat effects. This is something that not a lot of people play with, but they really should because it is awesome. Okay. So once you have something that you kind of like, rings are usually my favorite. This is one of them as well. But once you have something that you really like, and that you're really happy with, guys, just play. Hit OK. And you got some really, really cool effects that you can have. So if my poster was about Bubble Fest, right, then I would definitely have some more information in here. Like I might make a box down here at the bottom. Or I might just put information in here. We'll just see. But if I wanted to make a box, I would. But so I might put some information in here. Definitely change the size of this to say 72 and say 48. Now, here's the deal. So, and I know you guys learned it in the videos, which is awesome. So I have this font and it's so awesome. And Bubble Fest worked awesome for the title, right? But it's not going to work well if you're trying to tell people information, right? So you have to think about that. You have your display font or your presentation font for your title, but then for your text, that font might not work. So you want to make sure that it is readable, that it is eligible. So for that, I might switch to a different font. Let's just say I wanted, let's say Acumen for now, since it's there and it's available. And I'm definitely not going to go with this color. Okay, so I might go with either standard black, or I might make it like a kind of rich black. But either way, oops. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to type in information. So for Bubble Fest, it's going to be Saturday, July. Let's see what that date's going to be. Let's say it's going to be Saturday, July 18th. Oops. 2020. It's going to be 12 p.m. at, I don't know, Times Square. Saturday, 12 a.m. at Times Square. So now I have, this comma is actually not needed because it's on different lines. Okay. So now I have the time, location where people can come to this fest. What I'm going to do with this font, because left font or left justify is not really working with this layout. So I may go up to my properties for my font, and I may go to paragraph, and I may go to right. Center, I don't like. I wouldn't use a center text for this one because my layout isn't centered. So if I'm using centered text for a layout that isn't centered, then it's not matching, okay? I wanna make sure it matches. So I might use right justification. And so now I might put this here, over here, and I like that better, making sure that I have enough room on the right side and on the bottom so that my text doesn't risk being cut off, also so that proximity is in line and alignment is in line. Okay, so I have Saturday, July 28, 2020, 12 p.m. Times Square. I'm happy with that information. I might change the color of this text because I don't feel like it matches my layout, even though it's black. It just doesn't always match. So I might go with like a darker blue, something super dark, like maybe here. Something super dark, but you can tell it's blue. That's kind of what I'm going for. Okay, and then doing that, I'm noticing, yeah, nice and all, but it's not really matching I'm sorry, I have a readability issue. So what I might do is I might lift it with either a stroke or a drop shadow underneath, and we can try that just so you guys can see. I'm gonna go to drop shadow. Hang on. My Photoshop today, I tell you, it's not really. All right, so I might go to drop shadow and I might multiply, or I might go with normal. Normal is gonna take and instead of it multiplying with the background, it's going to take and make it a normal, no blend mode. So I'm going to go with opacity, 100%. I might go with a lighter color to lift it. And then I might go with distance. And I might play with the spread a little bit. Okay. But not too much. This can also become, I might play with the size of the spread just to get it out some. And for you, this might not work. So don't do it if it doesn't work. Just play and see. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, then you just go another route. I might also play with the rings, and I might not, though. That's what I'm saying. So I always play to see what type of effects I can get. And if it doesn't work, I don't go with it. But I might play with, since we're doing bubbles, this might actually work. Typically, I don't like this at all. I absolutely do not like the spread around the text. But in this case, because it's bubbles, I might. We'll see. I play with the distance, and then and things like that. So I might play with that to see if that works. If that doesn't work, I might play with an outer glow. I might play with an inner shadow or a stroke and see how the stroke's gonna look. And notice how I have the stroke set, but you don't see any of the options. You all have the check mark here, but you also have to click it to make sure that it's that darker gray color in order to affect it. So I might play with this color. And I might say, okay, well, let's go with a lighter pink so that we can stay within the pink family. I might go with a different size, but a lot of things I might do to lift that from the text, from its background. I like to be discreet in what I do to where it's not so, and there is such a thing as overstroking. So, if it works, great, but if it doesn't work, don't go for it. Anytime you're stroking text, I always tell you to stroke on the outside, because if you're stroking the inside, you'll get points off because you're taking away. See how that looks? You're taking away from the font itself, which is a super important part. So you want to make sure you're stroking from the outside if you're going to use a stroke. I'm not a fan of using the stroke always to bring it out, but if it works, sometimes it's great. In this case, it was not going to work. I didn't like it. You can bevel and emboss. Don't over bevel and emboss, but you can hit OK. What I'm going to do to bring this one out, though, is when I talked about it first, I'm going to make a rectangle and bring it in this area right here. And I'm going to bring it underneath the text. And I'm gonna, yep, there we go. And I'm going to change the color, or I can change the blend mode. So I might look at, different blend modes, like right here. I bring it up, or luminosity, see what overlay is usually one of my favorites for dealing with stuff like this. And I could use overlay, and overlay would work fine. But what I would have to do after that is I would have to change the text color. Okay. But I could use overlay to make that work. I could use linear dodge, which is a really nice effect as well. As a matter of fact, I might use that one. And then what I can do is I'm going to Control T. I'm just going to transform this box a little bit. Something's checked. Oh, it's linked. Okay, so if I don't want this box to, notice how the box, every time I changed it, the sides were changing. If I don't want that to happen, see this link up at the top? I can click that, and then I should be able to drag each area. So what I do like about doing some of these from the cusp and not having it planned is that the mistakes that happen allow us to talk about things that weren't set for us to go over. So that's always awesome. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and double click on the font. I'm going to make it a smaller size. I'm going to adjust the size a little bit. So I'm going to go up to properties, and it doesn't have to be 48 points. So right now it's at 39 points. I like even numbers for me. All right. So I'm gonna so I'm cool with that. I'm gonna keep it at 38 point, and I'm gonna move it 38 point, and I'm gonna move it down some. Another thing that I want to think about, though, and that you'll want to think about, is we always talk about proximity. That means the spacing inside of any area, right? So right now this box, we want to think of the proximity inside of the box as well. Another thing that I might do, truthfully, is I'm going to click on the rectangle. And because I don't like kind of how half of the image is, I'm going to bring this rectangle out. And I'm going to bring it under his face. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring, yeah, like that. Okay. I'm going to take this text, that I worked on, and I'm going to play with the layout just a little bit more. So what I'm doing is I'm adding pipe. The pipe, just so you know, is you hold shift, and it's the key right above your enter key where the slash is. There's a slash, and then there's a straight line up top. That's called a pipe. Okay, so if you hold shift, and it's right below the delete key. So right above return, right below delete is your slash, and then right above that is the in the same key is the straight. That's a pipe. So that's what this is. So just in case you're like, well, what's a pipe? But that's what it is. All right, so I'm going to bring everything up real quick. And so a lot of times I will change the layout right as I'm designing because I don't like something and something's not working. So now this right here is what you don't want to do. So you notice how I have this text, and this text is coming right to the edge. You don't want that to that edge. You don't want that to that edge. You'll lose points. Make sure that your design, remember, you're designing with a purpose. So make sure that when you're designing that you're keeping in mind these edges and how far your information is from the edge. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the size a little bit more. And I'm going to center this. Let me see. Boom. Okay. So I got it. So now I have it enough room from this edge, enough room from this edge, enough room from this edge, enough room from this edge. And I'm happy with that. Okay. And if I wanted to, I could take this rectangle, hit Control T, and I could bring it down just a little bit more because I have that room. And hit Enter. And now I'll select this text, bring it down just a little bit more. Okay. So now I have the information, right? I have its Bubble Fest, as we have going on, explanation. Then I have the date, time, and information about Bubble Fest itself. So we have this poster. It is done. The next thing that we need to do is export this. So I can go to File, export. Well, as a matter of fact, though, let's save it. I don't think we saved. So dangerous. I'm going to go to File, Save. And because we named it, I'm going to say on my computer for now. Well, I don't know. I'll save to iCloud documents. All right. And then Photoshop Poster Demo. I'm going to say summer 2020. And this is just for me. FCC online. This is just for me so that I'll know the difference in, the different files. All right. So it's Cloud Documents. I'm going to hit Save. And then once it finishes saving, I'm going to go to File, Export, and I'll say, I can do a quick export PNG, but I'm going to say Export As. And the Export As menu will pop up. I'll wait for it. And so mine is a huge file because you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to delete all of the images that I didn't use. So that I'll go back and do later. But for now, I just want to show you guys how to do this. I'm going to choose, let's choose, 1x should be good because it's a big file for this one. But you can do 1x, 2x, or 3x. Either one is going to work. And if I needed to reduce anything, I could at this point, like 3,000 pixels by 5,100 might be a bit much. So, I could come in and I could, change it to 2,000 and, and then it'll automatically resize with it as well, since this is going, on the web. Or I can make it smaller if I need to. But for now, this is cool. I'm going to hit Export. It's going to say where. And I'll just say, that's fine. I'll just say there. Hit OK. And there you have it. All right. So that's your exporting your file. That is creating a poster. And like I said, your poster can be, on, your poster will be different, of course. But just make sure that's 11 by 17. I know Mounted still says that. I'm so sorry. You're not mounting yours because this is an online class. And you don't have to do the Spark journal or anything like that. So you're pretty much just creating the poster. When you upload it to me, I need the Photoshop file and I need the